Welcome Diablo 4 enthusiasts. In this guide I will explain you everything about the legendary crafting system that you need to know, and we are making sure that you don't waste all the gold you have collected after farming hours and hours and hours. So let's jump right into the guide. First, we need to understand how legendaries work in general in Diablo 4. If you already know about this topic, feel free to jump to the next chapter of the video. Unlike in Diablo 3, we have no legendary affixes that are limited to an item. In Diablo 4, we are talking about aspects, which are the effects of the legendary items, and those can be removed at the occultist, and this system allows for a lot of customization in your character progression, and there's also some strategies you can follow to save a lot of gold. So the first tip is that rare items are really valuable in Diablo 4, and they may fall off in the really late game, but in the early game there's a lot of money to save on those items. So you have to understand how they are working. They are having 3 lines, while legendaries are having 4 lines. But you can always re-roll 1 line. So now, if you have found a rare item that you're satisfied with, you will go to the main city, right here, to the occultist. And at the occultist, you can see right there, this is the item that I would say is fine as an example. So cold resistance is good, I'm missing this, and 9 intelligence is good. The 9 strength will only give me armor, because the mage scales on intelligence, and I want to reroll this. So you're going to enchant item, and it's important that you reroll before you do a rare into your legendary. So we can place it right here, and then we can select the strength that we actually don't want, and we can go with the enchantment, and then we can change for something else. Our build, for example, is really mana heavy, so mana cost reduction is fine. So we can replace it, and now we're having an item with 3 slots, that are pretty good. As an example, of course, they're not max roll, but for this video it's fine. And now we want to go and make this item into a legendary. So we can go and to extract the aspect, and we have dropped the legendary that we may want. And we're going right here, and then we can remove the legendary effect of this item. And then in our aspect tab, right here, we will now be able to see the aspect that we have just removed. And if we're going to imprinting aspect, we can now choose the boots that we have rolled for cheap while they were rare, instead of buying the high costs for the rolls when they're actually starting to turn legendary. And then we can choose the aspect, and we can now transform this into a new legendary that we now have in our inventory. The other option is by going with the Codex of Power. This is what you get for completing dungeons for the first time. You can always see from which dungeon this is from. So this is example, you're getting it from the Defiled Catacomb. And important to note is that those rolls are never max. So if we're seeing right here, this item can roll between 30 to 50%. And the ones out of the dungeons are always the lowest, so it would be 30%. So always keep your eyes open to find them in the real environment and try to upgrade them later on. Then you can also do something else that's really neat. So for example here, I'm having a ring with 27% increased damage while you have a barrier active. And here I'm having an amulet with 50% increased damage while you have a barrier active. And I really want to have the 50% one. So I'm going to extract this right here. I'll have it in aspects. And now, if I'm imprinting, right here, this is the max roll, the 33%, right? And I want to have it on the amulet, so it actually increases my my roll on it. So now you can see I can upgrade my legendary even and change it. So if I would have a lower roll, I could upgrade it. And now I'm going with the 50% increased damage right here, and I can change the ring just later on into something else. The strategy I'm talking about now, I'm not sure if it's intended or not. For example, on Diablo 3, you were able to reduce the level at which an item was able to be equipped, allowing for massive power spikes early on. In Diablo 4, you can get the same result by extracting an aspect from a legendary item that requires, let's say, in Diablo 4, you can basically do the same thing by extracting a legendary part. For example, right here we are having a staff that requires level 12, and we have one that requires level 15. And we are now going to be extracting this part right here, and you can see this aspect requires level 12. So we are doing this. We are having our level 12 aspect in the inventory now. And now we are imprinting our staff that is for level 15, that's important, with the aspect right here. And now we are seeing that this staff now becomes level 12. So this is a way to level reduce items in Diablo 4, even though this mechanic is actually not really in the game yet. So this is also why I'm not sure if it's intended or a bug. Yeah, we will just have to see if this stays or will get patched out later on. So this is going to be the 8th tip and the last tip of this video, and probably also the most important one. Because depending on which part you're putting your legendary aspects, you will be given bonus points. So if we're looking at offensive aspects as an example, they can be placed on one-handed and two-handed weapons and will increase the effect of the legendary aspect by 100%, so they will double it. Then it can also be placed on an amulet, increasing the effect by 50%, and then they can also be placed on your offhand, gloves and rings. Defensive aspects can be placed on the amulet as well, also granting 50% increase, and are also available for shields, helmets, chests and pants. Utility aspects can be placed in the amulet as well, again for 50% increase, and also on the helmet, chest, boots and gloves. Resource aspects can as always be placed on the amulet with 50% increase, and as well on the helmet and on your rings. And the last aspect are the mobility ones. And they can, you guessed it, be placed on the amulet with 50% increase and on your boots. So now that you know everything about legendary crafting in Diablo 4, I wish you the best drop rates and may the RNG god be with you. Thank you very much for watching this video all the way to the end. If any questions still rush through your mind, feel free to comment below the video. For more in-depth questions and to stay up to date on the most OP builds, I recommend joining my Diablo 4 Discord community. If you want to support the content creation process, feel free to purchase a channel membership